You might be thinking you want peace, but the truth is, real peace is threatening you in ways you never even imagined. And what most people think of as peace is a comfortable level of chaos that they can control. So let's get into it, everyone. And welcome to your Thursday transmission. This is when we take 15-20 minutes every week to cut through the noise, clear the energy, and remember something that you never lost. You just forgot about your true self within. So peace is such a fascinating thing. Sometimes with my marketing team, I'll even say, we can't promise peace. Nobody believes they can have it. Like we'll say, oh, find peace within, or let's do this workshop and talk about peace. But someone will see that word and be like, it's not really possible. And it's not that it isn't possible, it's that you're repelling peace. And when you actually receive it, maybe in fleeting ways, back and forth, there is this fear that surges up in you because it is so radically different from how you experience most of the day, every day. And I would say the reason people can't find peace is because, again, they're secretly terrified of what peace will reveal to them. So even though so many people, maybe yourself, I know I say it all the time, I just want peace. I mean, I had talking to somebody the other day and they're just like, I just want peace, like for the rest of my time on the planet. But what they really want is a comfortable sense of chaos that they can control. So it's like chaos at a certain level that they can control. Then they think there's peace. So what I want you to think about is what is happening when you are believing you're finding peace, you're seeking it out, and then it's like right there in front of you, an opportunity to really harness it or go deeper in it, and then all of a sudden, something in your life implodes. Maybe the dog gets sick, or the car gets a little bump, or you have a flat tire, or the neighbor calls, or I can't tell you how many times someone has had a call booked with us to explore their future, to really be able to learn how to self-coach their way to anything they want. And they'll be like, oh, my neighbor needs me. Okay, wait a minute, hang on. We have a system, we have a recipe, we have a formula so that you can feel so incredible about your life, but you're going to put that on hold because your neighbor needs you. No, you're putting it on hold because you're looking into your future self that can actually have peace, but it scares you. So this level of chaos and control back and forth is like a dopamine ping pong game with your brain, right? Something comes up and you get to go in and fix it. And then that dopamine hit gives you a sense of calm. It gives you a reward. You feel good about yourself, but you're mistaking the feeling good about yourself with true peace within. So however peace is terrifying to the ego, it's because it means the end of stories. It means the end of drama. It means the removal of attachment. It's actually stepping into a new identity. And let's face it, when we go looking at stepping into a new identity, even though we know that identity is going to bring about something in our life that's better, even though we know that we can't create a new reality or manifest or achieve faster if we don't have a new belief system, it is stepping into that and doing the work to harness that identity that is so scary to people, because you are having to say goodbye to a part of yourself. And that's really where I would say the transmission takes hold, everyone. And so I'm going to invite you to stop chasing peace and chasing the feeling of peace with these little dopamine rewards of creating chaos and controlling it, and start becoming peace. Because the truth is, Jot this down. Peace is like a removal. Peace doesn't come from adding things to your life. Even though, let's get back to the brain, you're on social media and you're scrolling, it's like, oh, there's a thing, and you're getting dopamine hits, and maybe there's like an issue or someone says something stupid. I can't even begin to tell you how many stupid things people say. I'm sure you see it. And then you go in and say something, and all of a sudden you feel better, as if the people that initiated the stupid comment care. They don't. Like, just stay off of gnarly posts and comments. Nothing good is going to happen, but it makes you feel like you got control, right? It makes you feel like, oh yeah, look at all these guys who are just talking about how stupid this is, and how I saw one last night about New York and the mayoral election, whatever. Leaving politics aside, there was an impressive display of commitment and bravery and focus and authority and connection. But when someone who is like this high-powered supposed entrepreneur goes in and talks about how New York is going to be destroyed and they just elected a communist, and everybody chimes in, nobody learned anything by the display of courage or the facilitation of how one speaks and connects to the public. So leave what you think aside of what anybody is doing or believing. If you can't see the good in something, where you learn from something, you're just looping around in chaos. And man, doesn't it feel good to be the bully? To say, oh, look at this, that's so stupid, and I don't think that way, so I'm smart. It's like a big buzzer. So peace, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have this sense of peace because I just exerted myself, and look at all these people commenting underneath my stupid post. That's not peace. That is just a bunch of chaos that someone stirs up, and they feel good for a moment, it dies down, and then they have to go stir up more chaos. Does this make sense, everyone? I think you can all see it, right? It's just like, oh, let's do this. I'm going to feel good about myself, and I'm going to stir the chaos. Then I'm going to control it, or I'm going to snuff it out. And then you feel better. That's not peace. That's just adding noise to your life. So again, yes, Cindy, correct. Peace doesn't come from adding things to your life. It comes from removing what isn't true, what isn't your true self, and what keeps your awareness trapped. So it's removing what keeps your awareness trapped into the chaos. So let's look at it this way. Peace removes the illusion. In the Vedanta teachings, which you know Nick and I are just nuts about, it's the foundation of everything we do, and it's not a religion, it's a philosophy. Vedanta means the end of all knowledge. In the Vedanta philosophy, the cause of suffering is something called avidya. Vidya is like life, the truth, the knowledge. Is not. It's the negation of it. So in other words, it's the ignorance of the true self. When you are ignorant of your true self within, and when I say true self, I'm saying the one that's connected to your God spark, the one that's connected to God. It's the Atman to the Brahman, the wave to the ocean. It is you as a divine being. But when you're, and I know ignorant can be a hard word, but it's truly ignorant of, not knowing of that true self, you suffer. And peace arises when the illusion falls away. The illusions of being separate, the illusion of control, the illusion of identity built on external achievements. And there's nothing wrong with external achievements. Create an amazing business, have a fabulous career, have amazing relationships and vacations and cars and boots, all that. But understand, if those things own you, you're not going to have any peace. You're just going to keep shopping. But when you own those and appreciate the value of them, yet know the true peace is when you let go of the illusion that all of this means something, you're starting to find that inner space. So you think of it this way: peace arises when the illusion just falls away. When you no longer mistake the small self, false self, for who you truly are. So you don't create peace, you reveal it by removing illusions. And I think that comes in time. I still have a very big illusion in my life, personally speaking. We're here, we're doing a Thursday transmission, but even if it's an illusion, it's our illusion. So we have to live in it full out. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to do the best we can do. And the other thing that I would say, peace arrives when we remove the importance of things, either self-importance or over-importance on things or events in life. Vernon Howard is such a beautiful teacher back in 50s, 60s, 70s even. He talks about the true self and the false self. So he says the false self lives for attention, drama, and validation. The false self cannot survive without them. So as long as your false self is activated, it's seeking attention, drama, validation. But peace doesn't coexist with ego inflation. So when you're no longer worried, or some people, I don't think anyone here is, but some people are obsessed with their image. You can see this again on social media. Or you're really focused on your status or being right, like you have to be right, like the person, stupid person that, sorry, I was just really annoyed. The person without much intellect posted on Facebook. When you're obsessed with being right, you're never going to have peace. And this isn't weakness, it's like strength without pretense. It's power without posturing. And I've got some people coming in for Confidence Blueprint, and we're going to talk a lot about collapse and posture. So I'll bring that into a Thursday transmission soon. But it's like when we're in this mental kind of conversation that says something like, I'll be enough when, or when this happens, I'll feel good, or I'll know I'm successful when I reach this number, I get that position. That's a when this, then that. That's what the Vedantins say. You're basing your happiness on future acquisition. It never will be enough. And this is kind of one of the default modes or default mode network, you could say, in neuroscience. Your brain's constant loop of self-referencing may be doubt or worry or criticism. And even psychologists, psychiatrists today say that rumination is really deadly to your energy. It's devastating because every time you ruminate over self-criticism or worry, you're like digging that negative neural groove. And, I think for a lot of us, it could sound like, oh, I should be further ahead. I didn't learn enough. I'm too old. I'll feel better once X, Y, and Z. But it's always out in the future. You never land the peace plane because it's based on future acquisition or realization. And so that rumination that just pulls your vibration down, it's like, I've heard it stated by a neuroscientist, it's like digging a trench in the snow. Like you're on the top of a mountain, you keep digging this trench. And so every time you leave your little cabin on top of the mountain to get to the bottom, you go in the trench. You go in the trench, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. But that's like your negative self-talk. And so we have to fill that trench up. And peace comes when that negative self-talk is quiet. And then you're just filling in that negative neural groove, and you've got this flat, really beautiful, pristine, snowy field. And then you can go and create a positive neural groove. It was Napoleon Hill who talked a lot about the positive mental attitude for success. It can be created as well. However, if the negative groove is already there, we've got to fill that up. That's why we do so much energy work and advanced and ancient mindset work here at Illumination Academy, because when you keep fighting one thing with, thoughts with thoughts, you're just digging in and building a bigger trench. So think of it this way. Peace comes when that ruminating, self-critical, doubtful voice gets quiet. And then you can imagine that clean, glassy, flat surface of snow that's just like, it's just like glistening, perfection in the morning sun. You can imagine stepping out on that and you would feel peace. That's what we want in your brain and your mind. So you don't need to chase a future condition for peace. You'll stop outsourcing your worth and making your own worthiness based on how someone else is seeing you. And then you'll realize, wait a minute, I was always enough. Before the story, before the striving, before the excuses, I was always enough. Before how my caretakers or parents or grandparents treated me or berated me, or the former marriage or relation, before all of that, all those stories, I was enough. That's your true self. And so, in essence, peace is not something you get, everyone. It's what is left when you let go. That's kind of the, I guess, subtractive nature of peace, of truth. Is this landing, everyone? Looks like it. I'm glad. Good to see so many comments and so many people here. So let's look at, I look at the opposite of peace as like inner war. It's this fight with yourself. And the mechanics of inner war are really the stresses that aren't so much caused by the world, even though it's really easy to blame the world. It's so much fun to blame other people. But the stresses are caused by your mind, by the attachment, what the mind is manufacturing, what the mind keeps building in the trenches on. And so the ego needs this conflict to stay and feel alive. So when the ego has this conflict happening, it feels alive. There's an identity that you've attached yourself to. The nervous system gets addicted to the neurotransmitters of having the chaos, of squelching the chaos, of getting ignited, of finding the peace. There's, you've heard me say your brain, your nervous system, your subconscious mind don't want you to be successful. They want you to keep doing what you're doing. If you're doing chaos, they're just like, keep doing that. And your ego's very happy because it's in its identity. And we cling to control because surrender feels like almost like an annihilation of something, of the ego. We have to, when we surrender, think about it, close your eyes. A true surrender can feel so scary because you are letting go of control. And as long as we have control of something, we're like, no, I got this. I got this. And that's why the true law of surrender is such an important one, because it doesn't mean you're giving up on life. It doesn't mean you don't take action. It doesn't mean that you don't have goals and you strive. It means you let go of the attachment to it, bringing you peace, because peace is already there. Again, human beings do not suffer because they can't find peace. They suffer because they're resisting the truth, their true self within, their God spark, the fact that they're one with universe, God, source, whatever word you want to use. And the other thing that happens again and again is, your amygdala is that part of your brain that's like, ooh, what's going on? And we're going to talk about it. For those of you coming to Confidence Blueprint, we're going to dive into just a smidgen of some of the neuroscience that keeps you from having confidence and propels you towards. So when that amygdala fires off of like, oh my gosh, there's something to be afraid of, it releases fear chemicals that hijack reason. And it's not until the part of your brain, the orbital frontal cortex, says, hey, wait a minute. Okay, you're afraid of that spider? Hang on, that spider is actually in a cage. You're at the zoo. But it's why, like, if any of you have like a visceral reaction to a spider or a snake and you're at the zoo and they're in a cage, your first thing is like, the amygdala. And then the orbital frontal cortex goes, no, 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 it's okay. But for that to happen, for you to realize there's nothing to be afraid of in the intangible world, because we all understand, I think, that our amygdala implodes when we're triggered by something that is related to a past event. If you're building a business and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's not enough money, or am I going to make another sale, or am I going to get this promotion? All of that hijacks your safety. When that happens in the intangible, you have to practice so much awareness for you to go, hang on, that's just a habit, right? That's just a habit of my amygdala. I'm going to calm it down. I'm going to be so present. Louise Hay would say the point of power is in the present moment. And so that present moment and that awareness directs you to your inner place of at least possible calm, if you let it. So the cosmic path of peace begins when awareness, not emotion, becomes the guide. It begins when truth, not your amygdala, becomes the guide. It happens, this cosmic path to peace is when your true self, not your false self, not your ego, your true self becomes the guide. And if we were to say, oh, I'm running over, sorry guys. If we were to say how could we see this in our lives, right? Sometimes metaphors are really helpful to bring these concepts. If you wake up in the morning and you think, all right, my mind is this beautiful lake, and you understand that when things happen, you get excitable, there's chaos, there's stories, there are excuses, there's a storm, right? The lake starts to swell, there's waves of emotion, there's winds of thought. You can't see what's underneath. But when the water's calm, the reflection appears, and that's like your soul remembering itself. So the more present you are, no matter what's going on, the more you're looking into that calm lake, and the more your mind is a reflection of that calm lake. So let's do a cosmic reset. Who wants a cosmic reset here to activate, nudge, find that at least a smidgen of peace? Because I guarantee a smidgen of peace will feel so amazing compared to the chaos of the world. So number one, I've already said it, awareness. Your awareness too, and just ask yourself this question: where am I fighting reality right now? Where am I creating excuses? Where am I just engaging in chaos? Don't judge it, just be aware. Then step two is acceptance, like so many things. And that acceptance is, what if nothing needs fixing in this moment? Think about that. Let's say the neighbor's knocking on the door and the dog's barking and you're so ready to go and get distracted, but you pause and say, nothing needs fixing right now. There's nothing broken. And you're really steady. And then step three, so we have awareness, acceptance. Step three is alignment. You take a deep breath, you anchor in, and then you can affirm something, maybe a really beautiful mantra like, I am one with the peace that holds the galaxies together. That's pretty cool. I'm one with peace that holds the galaxies together. Because you are. Because we're all part of universe, everyone. We don't love it, but we're taught to see ourselves as separate. And so the level of consciousness beyond emotion, beyond circumstance, beyond attachment, all of that is peace. And it's exquisite. So the absence of chaos doesn't have to be boredom. It can actually be power. You stop living as this reactive being, and you then start living as the creator. You take ownership. And peace becomes your baseline. It's not a vacation. It's not you meditating for 3 hours on the beach. It's your baseline. It's that centered awareness that we talked about in the ashram and prosperity code. You don't need to chase miracles, everyone, because you're going to emit them. They're coming from you. You are the miracle. And that is going to be really peaceful. Imagine how people feel around you when all you do is emit miracles. And then you start to change people just by who you are, events by what vibration you're emitting, and your choices become very, very focused. So that's our Thursday transmission, everyone. I hope you liked it. Of course, if you would like to learn more about our coaching program, it's called Prosperity Code Coaching Method, and it's really about how to self-coach your way to anything you want. We've got it going on over here. Just put coaching in the chat or reply to this email if you got one with the recording. We've got some peace happening over here, and we are so happy to show you how to create it for yourself. All right, everyone, you're amazing. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week. Big hugs. Ready to break through your final wall? Click below to book a clarity call with my team. We'll show you how to turn these insights into your lived reality.